From out there tonight?
Well, I was excited, number one, because we get a chance. It was practice 9. We've had it a little bit earlier than we've had this scrimmage, and this whole camp and this week is simulating our entire first month of the season is what we're doing. So Saturday we did 1 period live, and then we're coming off a simulated Saturday game that goes into that New Mexico Thursday game. So this whole week has been that setup of what did we learn from last year, when we played BYU and we played them on a Thursday. How do we handle going into a short week? All right, so we practiced that. And I thought the guys tonight, they came out with great energy. I thought they executed in back and forth. I thought they executed for the most part well. I thought the special team segments, which were not live, were really good. And there's some guys that stood out. Avery Williams today had 2 turnovers and a turnover for a touchdown. Ced Wilson had maybe the most spectacular catch I've ever seen. It was phenomenal. And I thought the defense was flying around and tackling the way that we want to. So some positives there, and then the big scheme of it all, you look at it and there's a ton of things that we got to work on. We're going to take this, and now we have a whole nother segment that we go correct this on Friday, and then Saturday we're going to use that as an evening game simulated when we play late on a Saturday, and then we turn around and we have a Friday scrimmage, which is going to be like our Virginia week, is what it is. So we're simulating those things. But overall, guys running their feet, playing hard, and bodies were flying around there, but they were playing football the right way, and everybody was up.
So when you look,
everybody was bouncing back up and playing the next play, which is exactly what you want to see.
so when you decided you wanted to simulate the short week and the Virginia week, any particular reason you wanted to do that this year as opposed to last year?
We didn't do it last year. And then, you learned from the BYU week. BYU week, when we played on that Thursday, that was rough. And we won the game. We won the game with 5 turnovers. All right, we came back the next week and played against Wyoming and did not win that game and had a turnover in the first drive. And so the emphasis that we were trying to create, you got to be better at it. So what do? You learn from those things. You go back, and so you try to simulate that, and you try to get that in the coaches and the players' minds of this is what we're trying to recreate, because we're going to have that situation again. And then we're going to come back and have a game the next week after a Thursday game. So we hadn't played a Thursday for a while, and we played it last year, and now we're playing another one, and we got to be able to recreate it.
What do you, in your first scrimmage, what do you hope to see? I mean, maybe you seem pretty pleased right now. I mean,
I wouldn't say that we're anywhere where we need to be. I'm pleased in the fact that the guys went out there and played hard, all right, and that we had everybody come out of it healthy. And assignment-wise, what do you want to see? You want to see when the coaches aren't on the field and they're not telling the guys what to do. You have some young wide receivers out there that are good players when Coach Keesaw is right behind them and telling them exactly what to do. And then when he's not out there, are they lining up right? No. Are they where they need to be right now? No. All right. So how are they going to operate when the coaches aren't out there telling them exactly what the call is and what to do? That's what you're looking for. And on the defensive side, all right, what are they lining up in? The defensive coaches aren't out there now telling them, hey, they're doing this or doing that, pointing guys in certain directions. You're going to see if they're going to do it or not. And for the most part, the communication was pretty good. Assignment-wise of getting lined up, okay. So from that standpoint, you take it and you look at, hey, we got a lot of work to do in these areas, but you can pinpoint it and we can fine-tune it.
We talked to Joel, and you look at who he's replacing at punter and kicker, and
Yeah.
it'd be tough enough to replace one of the guys the last couple of years, and look at what he's going to be asked maybe to do at both spots. What kind of challenge is that for him? How confident are you if he ends up doing both and he can handle that?
I'm confident he can do both. That's a major challenge. I'm not going to say that's easy by any means. You got to go out there and you have to punt, and you think about all the situations that you're in, red zone backed up, and all the different things that will come up. We got to go out there and kick field goals, and might be a game winning. So Quinn Skillen, he's helped. I think he's coming along too. Hayden Hogart, I think, is coming along too. So there's, it's not just Joel. Those other guys are developing as well, and I think they've been pretty consistent and they're getting better. But Joel can do both, which is a major bonus for us. And to be determined when it's all said and done. But he accepts it. You know, I think he's got a good mindset. You like him because he's competitive and he accepts the roles that he's in. When you put him at punter or you put him at kicker.
Can you describe this one of the most spectacular catches you've ever seen? What did he do?
Well, yeah, it's hard to describe. You know, that's one. It was a little fade ball, and it was back, kind of a back shoulder ball, and went up, and he elevated. I don't know how high. He elevated, and it was one of those kind of behind the back, behind the head, stuck in the palm, and defenders kind of got his legs out from underneath him, and it comes down with the foot in bounds and with the ball in his hands. It was. Everybody out there, defense, didn't matter who you were, all right, whatever family members are in there, and then they dropped whatever they had in their hands, and it was a great play. And you know, Ced's been a guy that continues to practice well and get better each and every practice, and then goes out there and you know, time the offense needs to make a play, he makes a play, and it's a spectacular play.
That was one-handed?
It was one-handed. Yeah, it was one-handed there. I'm excited to go back. They better not have missed that on film.
You got enough cameras, somebody probably.
Yeah, we better have that. Maybe we'll blow that one up. That was worth it. It was worth seeing.
He
It was good.
really had a good year last year. Where
Yeah.
can he do better?
Well, I think overall knowledge. You know, one of the things is he going to line up where he needs to be? Yes. Does he know the plays? Yes. You know, now it's really studying the game and what's the defense trying to do to you, how the corner's trying to play you, where the safety's lined up. Seeing if the safety vacates away from you, then you have a better idea of how the corner's going to play it. I think Ced's getting to that point where he's seeing what the defense is doing more rather than just his assignment. And that's the next step for him because I think he's confident in what he's asked to do. Now it's attacking and truly attacking the defensive side and knowing a little bit more of what they're trying to do to attack him.
Avery got a couple turnovers tonight and
Yeah.
has been making some plays. What's enabled him to be kind of a playmaker on that defensive side?
He's been doing that. Yeah, I think what enables him to do that is just his motor. You know, simple as that. He's got a motor. He's always going. He's always going to practice. He's always going out there in any type of scrimmage or competitive situation. And no different tonight. You know, the one thing, you know, as a defender, all right, you kind of gauge on defense, all right, how well a player is on that side of the ball by how close he is to it. All right, wherever that ball is. And he's always around the ball. And so tip ball, there was a tip ball, and tip balls are pit balls. You know, he was around that. So a tip ball, ball's up in the air, boom, he's around the ball. You know, there's a tackle, kind of a low tackle, offensive guy's going down, ball slips out, might have hit the ground, don't know, but ball pops out, he's right there, scoops, and you know, he's out, he's running. And it's just that immediacy too of what to do with it. You know, the ball's there, and they work it all the time on defense. He picked it up and he was gone, and no one's going to catch him, and he's out the gate.
You look at guys like him, and you look at both sides of the ball. Really, so many guys are going to have bigger roles this year than they've ever had at so many positions.
Yeah.
Do you get a sense these guys are ready to take advantage of this? They finally have their chance. They want to show what they can do.
I wouldn't say that yet. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. You know, the message at the end is we have a long ways to go, and I really mean that. I'm excited that these guys got to play. I guess I'm excited that we went out there and played. You know, this is fun. This is exciting to go out there and compete and to let these guys just go play ball. So that was fun to watch. As far as overall, every coach is sitting there right now. I mean, they're going to have a whole sheet of notes of what we have to work. As far as who's ready to really go out there, and we have some guys that have played that are elevating their game, but it's not just those guys, it's the guys around them that have to step up as well. So if it's a young guy or a little bit of an inexperienced guy, a redshirt guy, we're going to need those guys to play. And they know that. They're not there yet. Today was a big sign of that too, where once there was some fast play out there was some confusion on either side of the ball, and we're trying to eliminate that. We're trying to be confident, but we still have a lot of confusion right now.
Harsin, they're hanging 4 pretty big banners on the side of Albertson Stadium of 4 players, and
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I know I ask you every year, but how'd you go about it this year? And they back to a little bit more of maybe the individual and the letters that
Yeah.
kind of describe the program and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But just kind of curious on how that kind of changes here.
Yeah, we kind of gone back and forth. One year we kind of liked this Nike theme, you know, where it was the players and it was dark, and then we had a team theme, and then we have this, you know, these 4 individuals now. Gabe Perez, he's got passion on his there. We all know his story. You got Jake Rowe, toughness, who went through a tough year last year and has been that type of player for us. Mason Hampton, who's got blue collar. I think we all understand that, you know, from a walk-on to where he is now in that position. And then Said, just the discipline, ties into one of some of our core values that we have there, but the discipline part of it. And he's a guy that, you know, made plays for us, came in here, has just been phenomenal, coming from a junior college. And, you know, everybody gravitated towards him. He's been that guy that's kind of been a guy that's made plays for us, a leader by example, and how he works and what he does every single day. You know, that's the discipline example of our program is, and we want guys like that.
With Jake, you know, you bring up his toughness, and you know, some guys get banged up, and maybe they would maybe venture to heal those injuries. And he just seemed like a guy that wanted to be on the football field almost no matter what. I mean, the Hawaii game, he's limping down the sideline, and just his determination last year.
Yeah, you're not going to get him out of the game. You know, he's been injured. He fights back. You know, I think he's kept about as good of an attitude when he has been injured, but he wants to play. You know, that's his desire. He wants to be out there, and one, I think, loves the game too. You know, phenomenal teammate, and he wants to be out there with those guys. This is really important to him. This whole experience of being a Boise State Bronco is really important to him, and he wants to be out there. And he's overcome quite a bit. He's had a great camp so far, in my opinion. But he's got to have the other guys around him, you know, to go out there and play as well. And so, you know, he's in that leadership role where he can help some guys out, especially some of the young tight ends.
A week and a half in, who hasn't, you mentioned Jake, who else has impressed you through camp so far?
Well, on the offensive side, Ryan Wolpen, and we talked about him, and Drake Beasley. And I think, you know, he was an interesting one. He came in a little bit lighter than, you know, we wanted. I think it was 190, then he came in, you know, around 180-ish there, and so, you know, obviously we got to build him. You know, he plays that position, but the one thing you didn't quite know, because he didn't play last year, he's very instinctual. You know, even tonight when you watch him run, he can slither his way through there, and he made some really good runs. Octavius Evans is a guy, Cartrell Thomas, both those guys I think have had good camps so far on the offensive side. O-line, Ezra Cleveland, I felt good about him. Garrett Larson's had a really good camp on the O-line. Defensively, Tyson and Leighton, both those guys are playing really well. They understand their assignments. David Moa continues. It's good to have Jabril back. Jabril was making plays tonight. You know, he's a major force on the edge there, and so to have him back out there, and the quarterbacks weren't live, but he was all over them and making plays, creating issues for the quarterbacks. And I like the back end. DeAndre Pierce has really stood out. I think he's had a great camp. He's been, as far as his assignment wise, I think he's been very good each and every practice, and then just physically, when we've had some opportunities to go out there and let the defense cut loose a little bit, he's really shown up on the defensive side. And really the back end, I think Coach Ambrose and Coach Franklin are doing a good job back there. Special teams wise, we talked about Joel and the kickers, and then Nick Pittman. He snapped the ball well, and Brock Barr. Those two guys that are snapping for us, I think they've been pretty good.
You mentioned Wolpen there, and I know a lot of people just assumed that, you know, Madison was going to come in and kind of be the number one guy, but, you know, Lee said he was going to give, you know, Ryan ended the spring at number one, and he was going to give him a chance at least to start camp to take the first reps. How do you kind of look at the running back there and what Ryan's done, you know, in terms of pushing Alex?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that there's a clear-cut anything right now. Those guys are mixing it up, and Lee's doing a good job of getting those guys, you know, whether it's with the blue offense or the orange offense, just reps, you know, just running reps and running behind different guys in the O-line. Both guys, and Rob Mahone ran well tonight. He did some good things. He had a couple runs in there, and that's the thing about Rob. Rob's taken another step from where he was. You guys watched him in the spring. He's taken another step. He's running hard. The other two guys around him, and that mindset in that room provided that. I think Drake Beasley too, because he's come in here and done a good job. So that entire room, we're not settled on where we are yet, but all those guys have gotten better, and I thought tonight they all ran fairly well.
How's Ezra coming along?
Good. Yeah, he's, now we're getting, it's just getting more. As far as assignment-wise, pretty good. Physically, he's done a good job out there. Now it's just taking that, next step as far as, not to think, the calls just come to you. He can see some things. He's got to make some calls out there on the edges. Just takes time. Takes a little more experience. But with Garrett coming along, John Bolchon, you got Mason Hampton in there, some guys that have played. I think Andres Preciado, he has worked his butt off to put weight on, and he's had a really, really good camp. So been happy with him.
How encouraging, I know you mentioned Avery earlier, but, back when like Darian Thompson was here, they're just guys that seem to be around the ball and talking with players. It seems like forcing turnovers is a big emphasis. So to have a guy like Avery that just kind of continues to do this.
Yeah. Well, he did tonight, and I'll say this, Skylar Siebold had one the other day, had a tip ball for a pick. That is the emphasis, defensively swarming to the ball, being around the football, and then good things are going to happen. So you get opportunities like that, or the ball comes out, able to scoop and score. But that's been an emphasis, with turnovers. You got to create them. You don't just get them. You got to create them. And his energy, how he practices, whether he's back there on special teams or he's out there on defense, that carries over, because when you pop on the film, you see him running to the ball and other guys as well. Well, that becomes a standard. And so I think that's helped defensively, with just guys flying around the ball.
Turnover is also kind of an instinct as well.
Yeah, it's opportunity. Yeah, it's opportunity. There's battles. Defensively, being around the ball, just like tonight I said, is being around the ball, something's going to happen. The ball's going to pop loose. If you're around it, all right, you're going to have that opportunity to get it, and that's what happened. You see sometimes the offensive guy fumbles it and he ends up recovering his own fumble. I think a good defense is around there, and when the ball comes out, there's one guy that's taking that guy out and one guy that's getting it. You're going to take advantage of that opportunity. So, yeah, it's about you're battling for the ball and all that, but you're out there you're trying to stop whatever they're running, and then when there's a chance to create a turnover, then you go create it with however you got to create it. All right, whether it's hitting and stripping, or it's driving on a ball and picking it, at the end of the play.
I saw the video of you guys with your, I don't know if it was the International Guard or who you guys were doing that training exercise with. Can you kind of tell us the story there, what you guys did, and how it came about?
Yeah, the National Guard with Darren College, and he wasn't there, of all things. He had another assignment. But Darren College came here and spoke to the team a few months back, and we had talked about, we had a group come out called the Program last year, which were Navy SEALs, ex-military guys that came out here and worked with our guys and did some training, and it was difficult, it was fun. I say it was fun for us. It was difficult, and guys learned teamwork and leadership and all that. And it was a great course. So we decided that we were going to go out with the National Guard and work some type of training, and they took us out to the kind of their little city out there, and we got to get put on teams, our Bronco Olympic teams, and we had a squad leader, and so they took us through the different tactics, going in and how they train to go into a place and work through and get whatever they need to get, all right? And we were able to let our teams do that, and it was kind of the paintball type battle was what it was. And so some strategy, some leadership, some communication, and some fun. And there was rubber bullets out there, so a bunch of bruises, all right? Mainly on the coaches that were in there that they were shooting at, so we got a lot of bruises there. But the guys had fun, and they really enjoyed it, and they got a chance to watch it and see how guys communicated. The leaders out there picked who the best teams were, so they get points from that. It goes into their Olympic teams. But really, the whole thing was about an experience. And it's just, football gives you an opportunity to do things like that, to experience that. It's not just about football, it's about being around other people. And our players were phenomenal. They got a new experience. They got a chance to do something different that really applies to life in football. And when it comes down to it, that's what it's about.
Was it rubber bullets or was it paint?
Rubber bullets.
Rubber bullets?
Yeah, it was rubber bullets. I thought it was paint. It was rubber bullets. I told them it was paint, and it was rubber bullets. And they got shot. They're like, they ain't breaking. All right? So they were bouncing off. And but they had a great time. And they took, the folks out there did a phenomenal job. They fed our guys. They had Powerades and Gatorades for them, and all Powerades for them out there, and water. And we just had a whole lot of fun, and they got a new experience.
Was that yesterday you guys did that?
No, it was on Sunday. It was on Sunday. Yeah, and then they did a cool shirt up there that kind of had half of the National Guard and the Boise State helmet on there, and it was cool. They really did a fantastic job.